I mean, this is the ZNT Wrestling Show. We're talking about AEW Dynasty. It took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the first AEW show that took place in the state of Pennsylvania. It's crazy to think that Philadelphia had WrestleMania last year, and they had Cody finishing the story. They had Gunther's title reign being broken. They had The Rock's big return to the ring. But this year they get this WrestleMania season. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say this was a bad show, but, like, you put a main event like this one out, and what else do you want us to say, man?
It's like baffling that every 6 weeks, every couple months, hell, maybe even every month, we drop $50 on these AEW pay-per-views. And I don't want to hear anyone say, well, the wrestling is good. The wrestling, yes, of course the wrestling is good. I feel like a broken record. I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. Yeah. I feel like I'm Bill Murray, because it just feels like every single one of these shows, we get good matches, yes, but we get to this is the second pay-per-view in a row. We get to this goddamn main event, and it just feels like, what are they doing? What are we doing here? And I'm just so confused, and I don't know what to think, and I don't know what to put my finger on it. And it's like, I need a break from AEW. We've reviewed 2 AEW shows now. How ironic that we waited a month to do the last pay-per-view, and here we are the day after doing this pay-per-view. And I don't know. Everything in wrestling just feels weird right now. We're going into WrestleMania, and the build feels lacking. We have AEW here that's like, I don't know what the end goal is for anything they're doing in AEW right now. This was a fine show. I don't want to go above and say it was a great show, that it was a fantastic show, that holy shit, you need to drop $50 to get the replay right now.
Nope.
Like, if you've seen one AEW pay-per-view, I feel like you've seen them all. And unless there's a particular match with your favorite that you want to see, I would honestly say don't waste your time. All these AEW pay-per-views, I feel like follow the same format. It's bloated. There's always 1 or 2 matches on the show that don't need to be there. And
the show went 5 hours.
It did. Like, I don't need to take a break when I'm watching a WWE pay-per-view. Even back in the days of like WrestleMania 34, WrestleMania 35, when they went 5 hours, I never needed a break watching a WWE pay-per-view. But with AEW, I remember I got like 5, 6 matches in, and I had to pause the damn show and go hang out with some friends because I needed to just take a break, because it's just like bam, 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 bam. They want to claim their banger after banger after banger, but it's like, it's so tiring. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks this, but I just feel like every time I make these claims that I'm just going to get my throat jumped down by, the AEW crazies. And it's like, I really give this company the benefit of the doubt, but it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to bring WWE up, but at the same time, it's like you watch WWE right now, and even though the Mania card may be lacking, but there's an end goal. I want to see Jey Uso win the World Heavyweight Championship. I want to see what's going to go down between Cena and Cody. I want to see what this drama between Punk, Reigns, and Rollins is going to unfold. And you could say it's because I've been watching WWE since I was 8 years old, and AEW's only been around 6 years, but I don't know, man. I just feel so... AEW just feels like an all-you-can-eat buffet. They never change up the menu. And after I'm full, but then you got the waiter shoving another plate in my face. I don't know how to describe it.
So
I'm going crazy here.
Here at the ZNT Wrestling Show, Tomas and I strive to do 3 things, I feel like. Number 1, we strive to have fun. Number 2, we strive never to be tribal, regardless of what the initials are in the pro wrestling company that we're talking about. We're going to talk about the wrestling regardless. And there was a lot of good wrestling on Dynasty, especially there's one match in particular that I fucking loved.
Me too.
And, yeah, the third thing is...
2, actually. There's 2 matches on the show.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. They involved the 2 same guys that I was praising the last paper.
Exactly. And
actually.
Yeah, the third thing is we try to be fair. Yeah. We absolutely try to be fair. And let me just, a big theme of this podcast, I feel like, is going to be AEW, when they first formed in 2019, They were touting themselves as the alternative. This is when geriatric fuck Vince McMahon was booking WWE, and AEW was striving on being fan friendly. Okay?
You want to put things into perspective. You know what WWE was doing around the time AEW debuted? They were jobbing
this bullshit
to Brock Lesnar.
This.
They were, but more specifically, they were jobbing out Kofi Kingston to Brock Lesnar in 8 seconds. They were on the go-home show to a pay-per-view that had 2 matches booked, one of which may be considered the worst finish in WWE history that we were in attendance for.
Yeah.
They were subbing a UFC guy to fight Brock Lesnar at the next show. We were just a few months away from The Fiend jobbing to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. We were begging to do something different. And then AEW comes along, and we got guys like Cody, MJF, Darby Allin, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Christopher Daniels, Scorpio Sky, Sammy Guevara, invigorated Chris Jericho, Santana and Ortiz. Guys were jumping ship left and right. Your Rusevs, your Aleister Blacks, your Daniel Bryans, your CM Punks, your Adam Cole.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, everybody says they can pinpoint where it all went wrong from AEW, and we can't sit here and blame CM Punk for the rest of our lives because that was 2 years ago. It's like if AEW couldn't get their shit together by now, then it's like it's not a CM Punk problem. It's a lot of other problems.
No.
And we're going to be talking about a lot of those as we jump into the show. There were, believe it or not, only 2 0-hour matches.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Consider the other one. First up, we have Nick Wayne and CRU Crew, which is Action Andretti and Leo Rush, taking on AR Fox and Top Flight. The first thing I got to say is AR Fox and Top Flight deserve better. AR Fox is an amazing talent. Top Flight is an amazing tag team. And here they are on the pre-show. You talk about tag teams in AEW. Here you have an established tag team, 2 brothers that are amazing. And they're not doing anything here.
Well, would you rather Top Flight just be fed to the Hurt Syndicate?
Well, how about in a world where tag team wrestling mattered?
Right.
And, you had 2 legitimate I miss the days of the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks and teams like that. It's like these teams are being shoved to the side for nothing against Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Those are still 2 singles guys.
Yeah.
That found their niche. But this was a fine enough match. It's your typical high flyer, high spots match, which, I feel like AEW is 2 things. It's either high flying spots or violence. I think that's another thing. There's no real variety here. Mm-hmm. Nick Wayne and Crew pick up the win after Mother Wayne interferes, shoving AR Fox off the top rope in order for Nick to get the win. I just think it's so funny that Nick needs his mama to win his matches for him.
It's like he's like a modern day Shelton Benjamin now, isn't he?
Yeah, but on a level where you can really make fun of Nick for it. Wow, really, dude? How old are you? You need your mom to win your matches for you?
Yeah, the only thing missing is Mother Wayne carrying around a brick in her purse and yelling at Nick, "Don't make me get the whip."
So that's that. It was a fine enough match. I thought that was going to be it. But then we have Max Caster, Platinum Max Caster, coming out to do his open challenge.
Hold on.
Every week on Collision.
Platinum Max Caster, the best wrestler alive.
Yes,
quote unquote.
And I was going to get into that. Max Caster has been doing this thing for the past couple of months where he's ditched Anthony Bowens, he's ditched Daddy Ass, he's ditched the Acclaim, no more scissoring, no more rapping. He just thinks he's the best wrestler in the world. He carries around a certified paper saying that he is the best wrestler in the world. He tries to get the fans to chant for him. And I'm very torn of how I feel about this gimmick. On one hand, I think it's entertaining. I like how Caster is very delusional and he wants the fans to chant with him. Even in this opening promo, he was saying, "Come on, fans, chant for me. Let's go, Max. You're the best wrestler alive." Oh, no, you're not saying it right. Your cadence is very off. But then at the same time, it's like, are we just jobbing Max Caster out at this point? Because that's what it feels like.
It feels like a comedy gimmick. And lo and behold, what we have here is an open challenge, and it's answered by the returning Anthony Bowens. First of all, my issue with this, you have one of the greatest, most entertaining tag teams in AEW, probably in pro wrestling rather, over the past decade. Tomas and I met these guys, and they were so fucking over at WrestleCon. Like, these guys were top of the food chain when it came to tag team wrestling, and their blow-off is on the pre-show? Are you kidding me?
This could have main evented a Collision.
Yeah.
You know, say what you want about Rampage, but I remember when main events on Rampage used to be like feuds like this. Like you had your Trent Beretta versus your why am I blanking on his name?
Chuck Taylor.
You know, you had your Santana versus Ortiz. You had blow-offs like that, and this just didn't feel like the blow-off to a very non-existent feud, because the past couple of weeks I've been watching Caster do this shtick, and through my mind I'm going, where's Anthony Bowens? I know they broke up on screen, but where's Anthony Bowens? Let alone here's Anthony Bowens, and this is a totally repackaged Anthony Bowens. Brand new gear, brand new music, brand new gimmick. He has Daddy Ass as his manager. This felt like, go back to a year like, I don't know, 2013. Anthony Bowens looked like a guy that Vince McMahon would have ran vignettes for and put him over huge in his opening match against a jobber, but wouldn't know how to capitalize, or he'd be green as grass. And I'm not saying Bowens is not talented.
No.
I'm just nervous here because you're putting a lot on this guy. And you better hope it succeeds, but it's not just going to be on Bowens to perform. It's going to be on Tony Khan to actually book Bowens as a big deal. You have an international title, you have a TNT title, you have so many titles that wrestlers can be contending for. I don't want to see Anthony Bowens disappear for 6 weeks and make the occasional squash match appearance on Collision.
Yeah, because he beats Max Caster with a back spinning elbow to the head in 40 seconds.
Yes.
It was a bona fide squash match. Max Caster, who we all thought was going to be the star coming out of the Acclaimed, looks like a complete joke. And Anthony Bowens looks like a stud. Like, holy crap, man. His presentation, his entrance. Billy Gunn is his manager. Like, he's
the pride of pro wrestling now. He's the pride tool player.
I dig it. And, you know, like, here's the thing about Bowens, because, yes, he is 1,000% a super talented guy. And I am very nervous about him, but at the same time, the way he's booked, he could end up like the babyface Kyle Fletcher, where he can get super lucky. Because Kyle Fletcher, with where he's positioned on the card right now, ultra lucky. He's featured on pay-per-view constantly. His feud with Will Ospreay was one of my favorites of the past year. Anthony Bowens could, like, strike gold here with this Pride of Pro Wrestling gimmick.
There are a couple of things about this too. Number one, like, I don't want to say this as like you know, dissing Anthony Bowens, because number one, he was very over with the crowd, and that made me very happy. Just the presentation was great, but just the way it was presented just made him look like a failed WWE gimmick from 2013. Like, they're gonna book him like crazy. He's gonna beat all these jobbers. But when he gets to a big feud, it's not going to deliver. But that's what I want Tony Khan to do, because there's two things I don't want to see. Number one, I don't want to see him disappear from television. Number two, I do not, and I repeat, do not want to see Anthony Bowens be the baby face that looks good in defeat. Oh my God, did you see Anthony Bowens take Kenny Omega to the limit? Did you see him take Will Ospreay to the limit? He sure had Jon Moxley against the ropes. No.
Yeah.
Bowens needs to win. He needs to win against credible names, and you need to get a title on that guy. Do I trust Tony Khan to do this? Absolutely not. I don't.
No. We'll
I wouldn't
see.
be surprised if this is the last time we see Bowens until fucking Double or Nothing. And
I
he'll be
mean,
like in the Casino Battle Royale.
A Casino Gauntlet match at Double or Nothing. I mean, that'd be fun. I mean, having a Casino Gauntlet match for
win it and get a world title shot, but at the same time, it's okay.
It's not going to be for a
build this guy up.
It's not going to be for a world title shot, though, because remember, the winner of the Owen gets the world title shot.
Oh, well, they still do it anyway. They'll probably just give it to him on Dynamite, and that's why it's. And yeah, we're talking about this for a lot, but this was really a nothing match. But it was a good showing for Bowens, and I hope Tony Khan does something with them, even if this means, I don't know, sending him to Ring of Honor to win the world title. Give him something. Just like Tony Khan has all the pieces. He just doesn't know how to put the puzzle together.
No, he's not a big picture type of booker. He's
not. He's in the moment.
He's a very day-by-day type of booker, which sounds eerily similar to geriatric Vince McMahon. Piece by piece, losing his memory very, very slowly.
So we opened up this Dynasty main card, which was in Philly, with the opening round tournament matchup for the Owen Hart Cup. This is the 3rd annual Owen Cup. The winner of the Owen Cup gets a world title shot at All In. We saw Bryan Danielson win the Owen last year to get his final world title shot against Swerve Strickland in an amazing moment. It's crazy to say that a tournament is a foregone conclusion, but here we are. And what would you know? My predicted winner is in this opening match. It is the aerial assassin Will Ospreay taking on AEW's newest signee, the Jet, Kevin Knight. This is not the first time I've seen Kevin Knight wrestle. I saw him wrestle a few times in TNA. He was involved somewhat in the world title picture with Chris David and Moose. I think I've seen him do a couple of New Japan matches. Super fucking cool that he got signed by AEW. But like we just went on this whole rant before, will Tony Khan do anything with Kevin Knight, or is he going to have this flurry in the first couple weeks and then he'll be relegated to Collision for his entire career?
Well, I mean,
way too much talent.
I mean, it remains to be seen what Tony wants to do with LA Knight's half-brother, but with what we have here, his showing against Will Ospreay was really fucking great. And
the match was excellent. This was my second favorite match on the card.
Well, what do you fucking know? Will Ospreay's in it. Of course it's going to be one of the best matches on the show. He's the reason to watch the show right now. And I don't want to insult Kevin Knight by saying that Will Ospreay made him look strong here, because Kevin Knight certainly held his own. And he was matching Will Ospreay's athleticism beat by beat. He's a very, very agile motherfucker, just like Will Ospreay is.
He's an amazing seller. One of the spots in the match that really stuck out to me was Will Ospreay does this handspring neuralizer, like what Cedric Alexander used to do, but like with that backflip, and he turned Kevin Knight inside out with his fucking kick.
Yes. Oh, big time. Kevin Knight took that like a fucking champ. Will Ospreay with a Spanish fly counter, of course, because Will Ospreay has hit a Spanish fly. He also has a hit. He also tries a Styles Clash on the floor. What a fucking counter by LA Knight, or by I almost fucking called him LA Knight. God damn it. Because it's his last name. It's his last name. Well, yeah, because they have the same last night. Him and LA Knight must be brothers, right? Kevin Knight then hits a glorious-looking DDT, and Will Ospreay's selling of the DDT again, perfect, absolutely perfect. And Aubrey Edwards is the referee. She is basically making sure that Will Ospreay's okay, that they can continue. Kevin Knight goes for a power bomb. Will Ospreay goes for a power bomb. Knight with a great counter into a Hurricane Rana. Oz Cutter. Kevin Knight with a drop kick to block it, which was really nice. UFO splash gets a 2 count. Will Ospreay then makes a big comeback into a backslide. Styles Clash. There's a near fall. Will Ospreay with an Oz Cutter. And then a hidden blade elbow to the back of the head. Will Ospreay pinned him in a great 14-minute clinic here. This was a 4.25-star match. Absolutely outstanding. Of course, because Will Ospreay's in it. Probably best wrestler in the world right now. But Kevin Knight was meeting him halfway. It wasn't like Will Ospreay was going in there and carrying a Raw rookie. Even though Will Ospreay could have a match with a broomstick that would be rated 6 stars by Dave Meltzer, Kevin Knight, he went in there and he held his own. He certainly held his own.
Was an excellent opener to a tournament that should hold a lot of gravity when it comes to the Owen feels like this is their Royal Rumble. This is determining their number one contender for their WrestleMania, which is gonna be All In Texas.
Well, I mean, it kind of feels like they're King of the Ring from back in the day.
Yes, that's a better comparison. Thank you.
Yeah, it feels closer to their King of the Ring, but yeah, it's on the same level of an accolade as the Royal Rumble. with King of the Ring undertones. Ospreay shakes hands with Kevin Knight. It's a pure babyface match, and he says, "We will do this again, bruv. We will."
That also reminds me that on commentary, they confirmed that Kevin Knight just declared for the Super J Cup in New Japan, which is another tournament. I hope he goes far in that, because I don't think it's going to do Kevin Knight any favors that he just signed with AEW and he's already out of the Owen, and then he immediately gets knocked out of the Super J Cup. Hey, I'll even go as far as saying Kevin Knight should win the whole damn thing. If they want Kevin Knight to have some accolades while he's in AEW, if they're not going to put any major titles on him, at least put the Super J Cup on him. It's really cool to see Kevin Knight getting the recognition he deserves, and he's getting mainstream attention right now. This was an excellent opening match. I'm going to give it 4 stars. This was my second favorite match of the night.
Yeah, easily.
He even said on commentary, "Wow, what action. This is only the opening match." And I'm like, I know how these AEW pay-per-views go. I'm going to be tired by match number 5. And what would you know? I was tired after the trios title match.
Oh, I was tired after this opening. I was tired after the opener because it was so quick and a million miles a minute. Like, you know, the next match comes out and it's for the tag team titles, and I'm like, geez, I need like a breather after that. They only give me like 30 seconds worth of a video package to build to this next match. I
was going to say, like, AEW, I'm going to book myself as a total heel right now. AEW, it's okay to have backstage segments. It's okay to have commercials. It's okay to have sponsorship ads. Just, you know, it doesn't got to be match. Because, you know, people got to breathe. Let them go to food, go to the bathroom. Let them get merch. Let them check their Twitter account. I don't know.
Or something. Or, you know, extend out the entrance of our champion so they can sing a little bit more. We heard people. We heard people. We heard people. Or something like that. You know?
Introduce this next match, and then I have some feelings about this match.
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to do that. It's the Hart Syndicate defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against Big Bill and Brian Keith of the Learning Tree. Hey, Tomas, would you be intimidated by a man named Big Bill?
I would, actually.
Really?
I'm going to compliment Big Bill. He's getting better. He has improved so much in the past year or so. I remember going from absolutely hating this guy's guts to saying, what's the big deal about him? He does nothing for me. And now I watch him and go, you've become a really good hoss.
He has.
He has really just come into his own. Is he my favorite person on the planet? Absolutely not.
Do I
want to see him win the world title? Probably not. But we've come a long way from him jobbing out to Bryan Danielson at Backlash and Money in the Bank and then getting fired from WWE.
You know,
I'm going to give the man credit. He has really come into his own.
I will too. I never said I doubted Big Bill, formerly known as Big Cass's in-ring ability, but you couple that with the fact that this guy can't really cut a promo to save his life. And it pains me to say this. I really don't want to say it, man. Don't make me say it. I fucking miss Enzo Amore.
I don't think I would go that
bro, no, but hear me out though. That team that he had with Enzo is still the best tag team he will ever have.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say this also, if Enzo wasn't such a piece of shit,
yes,
they would have achieved mainstream glory and success in the WWE. Like, Vince wanted to push him. Vince obviously put this guy in the position because he wanted to. But it's crazy to say that Enzo put Vince in a situation where Vince had no choice but to fire him.
Yeah.
And then Enzo did no favors for himself, showing up to Survivor Series 2 years later and making that mockery of himself there. But back to Bill, I'm going to say something, and this is a great compliment. Big Bill is AEW's Braun Strowman. Because I was thinking about Braun Strowman recently. Remember when he was so green, being part of the Wyatt family, and then when they broke him up and drafted him to Raw, I remember rolling my eyes and groaning, going, here we fucking go. And what happened? Strowman had really fucking good matches with the Big Show. He had really good matches with Roman Reigns. He was getting over with the crowd. He was over to the point where the fans wanted to see, I wanted to see the world title get put on him. And Big Bill's improvement here is getting so much better. I'm not saying he's quite ready to be on his own yet, but he is sure as hell ready to get the hell away from the learning.
Well, here's the reason why I miss Enzo with Big Cass or Big Bill. Big Bill is a charisma vacuum, man. Like, he cannot cut a promo to save his life, at least in my
Yes and
opinion.
no. When you put the stick in his hand, he's not the best. But when you watch his cadence in the ring, like I'll recall the last time I went to a Dynamite and he was, jaw jacking with the crowd. He was having a good time. He was being funny in the ring. He has a certain thing about him that makes him very entertaining. But he's not going to go toe to toe on the stick with like a Will Ospreay or an MJF or hell, even a Bryan Danielson if they were ever to rekindle that feud for some reason. My other issue with this match is who are the faces and who are the heels? Before you answer that, I know
where you're going with this.
I know the Hurt Syndicate are over, but they are still internally heels.
They hurt people.
Hurt people. They have MVP who, is not a good guy. But at the same time, in the build to this feud, Bill and Keith were being booked as the baby faces. And if they're babyface by proxy, I understand that. But who are they aligned with? Chris Jericho, one of the biggest scumbags in the world. So it was very hard to look at this match and go, who am I supposed to cheer for? Am I supposed to cheer for the Hurt Syndicate because they are extremely over and the fans chant their song? Or am I supposed to go with Bill and Keith because you see on TV that's who they want you to cheer for?
Well,
Hurt Syndicate told Bill and Keith, no, you're not going to get a title shot. You got to go out there and win matches. So Bill and Keith went out there and won matches, and they called out the Hurt Syndicate. So you look at it at that perspective, it's like I'm supposed to cheer for Keith and Bill are the baby faces by proxy, but it was still very, very gray.
The Hurt Syndicate may always be heels as long as they're stable, but you cannot help but cheer these guys and get into them because of the gimmick and because of their presentation. They ooze cool. And that's why they like the Hurt Syndicate. Yeah.
That's all fine and dandy, but if that's the case, you got to turn these guys babyface. You really do. And it's not that difficult. They don't even have to do anything. They just got to come out and beat up some heels.
Yeah, they got to hurt people.
The Learning Tree, I think, are the perfect candidates for that. Could you imagine, like, Chris Jericho just coming out on Dynamite and bitching and whining and moaning, and then the Hurt Syndicate can come out and just fucking lay waste to them?
That would be awesome.
That would immediately get the crowd on their side. And then you could... I think that's what they should have did, honestly. They just should have had the Learning Tree get the piss beaten out of them, and the Learning Tree would have been the heels, and the Hurt Syndicate would have been the baby faces. And then you look at this feud they got going on with MJF, which is a key point in this match.
Yo!
MJF's role in this, and I'm like, is MJF a face? Are the Hurt Syndicate the faces?
I don't know anymore.
I don't know. Exactly. I don't know anymore.
I don't know, because MJF has been such a scumbag heel over the past 9 months whenever he turned heel on Will Ospreay. And now he's aligning himself with the cool guys. And here's the other thing about this match, because there were some good spots in there. I really enjoyed Lashley and Big Bill's exchange at the beginning. Two meaty men exchanging meat. Take that as you will. Shelton Benjamin tossing Brian Keith from side to side. And again, here's something that I love about the Hurt Syndicate. Shelton Benjamin is a hidden hoss. He's a big guy, and Vince McMahon never really presented Shelton Benjamin as a hoss. So
because he didn't have a character.
I mean,
did Bryan Danielson have a character aside from the yes/no thing? No, he was a damn good wrestler. Gimmicks are a must in pro wrestling, but not everybody has to have a gimmick.
Shelton Benjamin is one guy who, again, I feel like has massively benefited from jumping ship to AEW, because he has been presented in such a bigger spotlight in the past decade than he ever has. So
I thought this was going to be your typical Hurt Syndicate squash match, but Bill and Keith put up a fight, and it made Bill look really good. Like, I liked seeing him go toe-to-toe with Lashley. Big Bill makes Bobby Lashley look like a child.
He does.
How crazy is that? And we all know what a beefcake Bobby Lashley is.
Yeah.
And the match was fine. I feel like I was getting more into it than I was the Outrunners match.
Totally. Yeah. This match was so much fun.
And that's what I'm saying. I didn't know what to think about the roles, because if you wanted to put Keith and Bill in like these underdog baby faces, can they fucking beat these over monsters that are the Hurt Syndicate? That would have made the match more exciting. But then you have to remember they're aligned with Chris Jericho, so I don't know. I don't know. The match really, flipped the scales when Bobby Lashley and Big Bill are fighting on the outside, and Lashley sends Bill into the barricade. A lot of B's in these sentences I'm forming.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, MJF comes out of nowhere and nails Big Bill
with the dynamite. Yeah.
And if you don't know what's going on there, MJF has been seeked out by MVP to join the Hurt Syndicate. MJF at first doesn't really want to join the group, but he's kind of like, well, maybe. I have respect for you, MVP, and I respect Big Bob. I have respect for you too, and tell Shelty B, I hope he's safe out there because he can't make the show. It's like MJF's being a manipulative douchebag, seeing how far he can get with the Hurt Syndicate. I don't know where this story is going, and I don't know if I like it or not.
I don't know either.
Better than whatever the hell they were doing with Jeff Jarrett. I will give them that.
Yes.
But MJF helps Lashley and Benjamin retain the titles after nailing Big Bill with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and then they throw Brian Keith in there, and Lashley hits a monstrous spear on Keith before Shelton Benjamin just flips Keith over, puts his foot on him. What a badass shot that is. MVP was pretty funny on commentary. He called Brian Keith the bounty killer, and I'm like, whoa, that's a new gimmick. But then MVP really drove it home by saying, it looks like the bounty is getting cashed on the bounty hunter. I'm like, God damn, MVP he is priceless.
MVP is a treasure, and he does not need to drop like those harsh of bombs on commentary. Like that guy, like even since he debuted in 2006 when he was a Raw rookie, like I knew he had something in him, and holy cow! I mean, I love him. I love MVP.
I want a commentary booth of Tony Schiavone, MVP, and Stokely Hathaway. That would be hours of entertainment right there. Hours.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time. You know Tony Khan's not going to do that, but
no. Here's Syndicate retained the title. Oh no, you first.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, here's why I'm willing to give this MJF Hurt Syndicate story a chance. As random as MJF's alignment with the Hurt Syndicate might be, we were saying that Sami Zayn's alignment with the OG Bloodline 3 years ago is random as fuck as well, and look where that ended up.
Okay.
I'm not saying that this story is going to turn out the exact same with MJF being the pseudo Sami Zayn, but I think this has potential. I think it's got legs.
The way I look at it is, it's not the players I can't trust, it's the director I can't trust. Can Tony Khan construct a good enough story when it comes to this? I thought this was a fine enough match. I'm going to give it 2 3/4 stars.
Same.
Nothing really home to write about, but I think Bill and Keith had a better showing in this match than I ever could have expected. Who will talk about the Hurt Syndicate? I don't fucking know. And
I have the answer.
Because I think I know where you're going with that. And
I have the answer.
To say about that is, fine. Does nothing for me, but I know it does a lot for everybody else. And that's going to be one of those, y'all can have your moment.
Yeah.
You can stay for the after party. I will go home and call it an early night.
Yeah, but match was fun enough. Big Bill had some moments to shine. Probably looked the strongest he ever has been. Brian Keith was in there to take the pinfall loss, which he does. Shelton Benjamin's second straight pay-per-view where he's the one to get the win and not Lashley, which is interesting. Interesting to point out that it's not Lashley getting the wins. It's Shelton. Yeah. It is Shelton. So, okay. Yeah. I guess, Julia Hart's got to work at least 20 minutes now, because God fucking knows that her opponent can't go less than 20.
Oh. Wait,
God knows.
Oh, yeah, I am so sorry. I forgot this was my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Speaking of the Owen, it's time for the women's Owen side of the bracket, where we have, this seems very unfair. Let me just say that right now, and I'll get into it in a second. The TBS champion, Mercedes Mone versus Julia Hart. Mercedes Mone, the woman with 4 titles, gets to be in the tournament for a shot at the Women's World Championship.
For a fifth belt! For a fifth belt!
It feels so unfair.
Because it's Mercedes, and Tony Khan has to give her all the fucking crowns that he can.
It's like, these tournaments should be for an up-and-coming star. Like, you want to compare it to the King of the Ring? Fine, let's compare it to the King of the Ring. Could you imagine, like, if Stone Cold didn't win? Imagine if Stone Cold lost to Jake the Snake Roberts in the 97 King of the Ring, and he wasn't catapulted to fame. Imagine if Triple H didn't win the King of the Ring. Imagine if Brett didn't win the King of the Ring. It's supposed to be like a catapult into the main event scene, but you have Mercedes Mone here, who has been virtually undefeated since coming to AEW. Like we said, has 4 titles, has the stranglehold on the TBS title. I'm going to say it right now, I think Mercedes Mone is going to win this whole damn thing, go to All In, and win the Women's World Championship.
I fucking hope that Athena beats her next week. I really fucking hope Athena beats her, and shuts everybody up.
The sad part about that is that that's the match everyone's been waiting for. I would love to see Athena get the upset win over Mercedes Mone, but I just feel that just means, well, she's got to get her win back. And
it shouldn't be an upset.
And Mone is going to take the Ring of Honor Women's Championship off Athena.
That's the problem, though. It should not be an upset. Because Athena has held the ROH Women's title since before we even went to Supercard. She was the defending champion on that show.
Yeah. In the great words of Greg, Athena has been the women's champion since the Obama administration. But
I mean, that's not true. That's not true, but it's funny.
Speculate that as we talk about this match, but I look at Mercedes Mone and I see the way she is presented. I got to admit, seeing her with the 4 titles kind of makes her overpowered, kind of makes you look at her and be like, damn, she's the woman to beat. But then you see this match, fine match, but when we get near the end of the match, the crowd is really coming alive for Julia Hart. Not in a sense of, because I don't even think Julia Hart's a babyface. I think she's a heel.
No, she's the manager for the Hounds of Hell. She was the champion that Willow Nightingale beat before Mercedes won the belt at Double or Nothing last year. Julia Hart was having a pretty solid TBS title reign in her own right. And then after Willow Nightingale beat her at Dynasty last year, she had been pretty much non-existent.
The fans, by the end of this match, the fans were getting behind Julia Hart the same way the fans were getting behind Roman Reigns in 2014 when he was the last one in the ring with Batista. It wasn't like a we'll take anybody, but it was just it felt like a put over somebody new for God's sake.
Yeah.
For the love of God, we are praying to every wrestling legend in the heavens above that Julia Hart should go over Mercedes Mone.
I know.
I was kind of just sitting there going, that would be fucking awesome, but I don't see it happening.
I think
the end goal is for Mercedes Mone to win this goddamn tournament.
Unfortunately, I think that's where it's going to, but a man can dream. Here, if you have to have Mercedes beat Julia here, the crowd is getting us behind Julia as they are. It's very easy. Wrestling is so easy. Mercedes locks Julia in the bank statement, and Julia passes out. Julia does not tap. Julia passes out, and Mercedes wins that way. If you have to have Julia lose, that is how you do it. But lo and behold,
she was fighting. She had a babyface spirit in her by the end of this match, and it was a fine match. I think, again, Mercedes Mone is a great wrestler, and I thought her and Julia Hart had excellent chemistry. It's just super frustrating to watch when you watch a really good match on a show like this, but you know who's going to win. The fans were begging for the upset win for Julia Hart, and it's like,
but no,
this woman is immune to losing.
And of course, Julia Hart is out wrestled, and Mercedes beats her with a very awkward-looking inside cradle for a 3 count. And yeah, I know I joked earlier, but this match only got 13 minutes, which is, for a foregone conclusion, that's fine.
I'm going to give the match 3.25 stars because I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching the fans get behind Julia Hart the way they did. But it's like, you wonder why. You wonder why girls like her and Jamie Hayter, which, fucking hell, talk about. You remember that scene in Monsters, Inc. where Sully thinks Boo is going through that compactor and he smashed and Sully's having a goddamn heart attack. That's what they did to Jamie Hayter, and we were all just forced to sit there and watch. It's like, you wonder why there's no other big women stars, because the fans are showing that they love Julia Hart, that they love Jamie Hayter, that, they love underdogs like that. But then you don't put them over, and it's so frustrating to watch. It does not matter who else is on this bracket? Look at what happened to Harley Cameron. Look what happened to Harley Cameron.
Yeah. Harley Cameron.
It's frustrating.
Harley Cameron gets herself organically over with a puppet, and she is in the first round match against Athena, and the winner faces Mercedes. I have no faith that Harley Cameron's going over Athena. No fucking way.
A woman who has charisma up the ass, charisma in the ring, babyface fighting spirit, can do ventriloquism, can play the guitar, can sing, can dance, can act, and you're wasting her away.
For what?
AEW has such a deep women's roster. And then you have one side of the coin that's like, absolutely, Timeless Toni Storm is the best gimmick they have. But then it's like, I think Mercedes Moné has had her run with this TBS title. It's like back in, we were talking about this recently. It's like back in 2017, 2018, 2019, when WWE was stacked. You're talking Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Rusev, Aleister Black, all of these guys that should be world title contenders, but you have the world title on a guy that wrestles once every 3 months. That's how it feels like with the TBS title. It's like you have your Julia Harts, you have your Jamie Hayters, you have your Deonna Purrazos, you have your Taya Valkyries, but you have the title on somebody that you refuse to book to lose.
AEW is becoming what they hate, 2019 WWE.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just beware, my friends. So
it feels like we have nothing but bad things to say about these matches, but when you look at the booking and you look at the thing, everything, in hindsight, it's like, what are we doing here? what are we doing here?
Well, I mean, it's not like this next match is going to make me feel any better.
No, it's not.
For the Trios Championship.
Yeah, remember those?
The goddamn motherfucking piece of shit Death Riders are defending against Rated FTR, the team of Cope, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. Get it? Because they're merging their two names together, right? But
it's almost as bad as Warjo.
Joking aside, though, I will say Cope teaming with these guys feels pretty organic because FTR were the ones who were helping Cope come back from his neck injury to prepare for the 2020 Royal Rumble match. Because they
remember when Randy Orton was teaming with FTR?
FTR KO. Right? Remember that? That was fun. Those are good times. Again, 29.
Yeah, remember in 2019 when Randy Orton threatened to go to AEW just so we can get a better contract out of WWE?
Yeah. In a vacuum, though, this match was actually pretty solid wrestling-wise. I mean, Cope is one of my favorites of all time, and I've said that time and time again. FTR is one of the best tag teams on the planet. And, say what you will about the Death Riders, and I know we're going to say plenty once the main event comes along.
Fine wrestlers. Everybody in this match is a fine professional wrestler.
Correct.
But I don't think they did anything in this match that I haven't seen in other matches or haven't seen on this card, let alone.
Yeah, this match was nothing special, like around 3.25 star range, I would say.
I mean, it's less about the match and more about the story that we forgot to touch on. So basically the story about this is Cope failed to win the AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley in a street fight, and Dax Harwood seems very frustrated with him. He refuses to help him up. He stormed off. Dax Harwood failed to beat Wheeler Yuta on an episode of Collision. And while he was frustrated, he shoved down referee Paul Turner and he shoved down his best friend, Cash Wheeler. Dax Harwood presented a check for $10,000 to Paul Turner to make up for it. And while he was trying to apologize to Cash Wheeler held his hand out and says, we're going to win those trios titles on Sunday. But after that, we're going to have a talk. So there's trouble in paradise with the best buddies over here.
What are you talking about? Kofi Kingston has nothing to do with this.
The match was fine. It was less about the wrestling and more how the story was going to go.
Can I say one more thing before we go into the aftermath?
About this match.
I thought it was hilarious that the crowd was still booing the fuck out of Wheeler Yuta, even though Wheeler Yuta is from Philadelphia, where this pay-per-view is.
I don't know. Do you think Wheeler Yuta has go-away heat?
I think he has the most go-away heat out of anybody in this stable. I don't know if he has more go-away heat than Jon Moxley, but out of the three, yes. Because I love Claudio just as much as the next guy because, he's Claudio. I like Pac too. He's a bastard. But is it just me or does it feel like just looking at Pac, he feels so out of place with these guys? It feels like he should be on his own, just tearing it up wherever as a pit bull-like figure. But
where you're coming from, I definitely see where you're coming from. I feel like if Pac was still in WWE and he was under this tutelage, the fans would be having a goddamn heart attack.
Yeah.
But it's like Pac came to AEW because he felt like he was being mistreated in WWE. If he's happier in AEW, by all means, that's fine. But it's like, tell me how his booking here is better. Oh, he's in the main event scene. Yeah, but when's the last time we saw Pac have a one-on-one match? I remember when this guy was the international champion.
Yeah. How about put the world title on Pac? That'd be nice.
I wanted Pac to be the world champion for the past 5 years now. I come to terms that's never going to happen. And that makes me very sad. But the point I wanted to make about Wheeler Yuta is because I see a lot of criticism of Wheeler Yuta, how he interferes in all the world title matches, how he uses the Bisaiku knee, and I can't tell if Wheeler Yuta has go away heat or if he's working everybody. He's a mastermind because I've always been under the tutelage of if you hate a heel, well, congratulations, they're doing their job well. But I can't tell if Wheeler Yuta is more in the William Regal side of the spectrum or the Baron Corbin side of the spectrum.
I don't know, dude. He's a puzzle because the crowd is just chanting "fuck you, Wheeler" at every which way. He seems to be.
We also say "fuck you, Solo," and we've been saying "fuck you, Solo" for what he did to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. So it's like, do we hate Solo Sikoa or is he just really good at being a heel?
I think Wheeler. I think I'm with you.
Solo Sikoa has more go-away heat than Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, but Wheeler Yuta, I think, also to that similar extent, understands the ability to attract heat to himself.
Yes,
because remember, he was
under the tutelage of William Regal
and Brian
heels of all time,
and Bryan Danielson as well.
Yeah,
who is one of the most sadistic motherfuckers to ever step foot in the ring. Secretly, as nice of a guy as Bryan Danielson is, he is fucking sadistic, the American Dragon. But Wheeler Yuta actually does get the win for his team. There's some good action in here. I love seeing the Shatter Machine used as a finisher by FTR, which they do call the Shatter Machine. I have a bone to pick with Tomas, who still calls it the Big Rig. It's the Shatter Machine. Edge.
There's some really good trios action in here. There was a really good spot with the Death Riders and FTR where they did a triple team splash to them. Claudio Castagnoli hit the Gotch neutralizer. I love, say what you want, I love how Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta do the old Cesaro and Tyson Kidd spot.
Yes.
Where Claudio Castagnoli does the swing and Wheeler Yuta stops it with the drop kick. It's
beautiful.
An ode to the old tag team. It's an ode to Tyson Kidd.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love seeing Cope get in there, being a House of Fire, hitting the execution as well, which was really nice.
Impaler, DDT.
There is also a part of the match. There's a Cope. God damn it. There's a part of this match where Dax is getting beat the shit out of. Cope reaches out for a hot tag. Dax Wheeler intercepts the hot tag, and he takes it for himself. And that leads to the end of this match. Leads to the end of this match where Wheeler Yuta hits Dax Harwood with the running knee and he pins him. And yeah, the goddamn piece of shit Death Riders retain the tag team titles or the trios titles.
But that was kind of expected. And you know what? I prefer this because I didn't want to see Rated FTR win the trios titles. If I'm being perfectly honest, I that really wouldn't have done anything for me. The aftermath of this match was very needed because I was kind of run my course with FTR. I was kind of like, they've kind of done everything there is to do, so this was actually very welcome, as weird as that sounds, what I'm about to say. So Dax Harwood gets
You're telling me that murder is welcome?
In pro wrestling, yes.
Jesus.
Dax Harwood gets extremely upset and he pile drives Cope.
Yep.
I never thought I would see that. It was a very safe pile driver, but still. Harwood goes out goes outside the ring, and I'm just sitting there going like, Cash Wheeler, you just let Dax Harwood pile drive one of your best friends. Why are you just standing there like a goof? Harwood sets up the chairs for a concerto, and he wants Cash Wheeler to deliver the concerto. Cash shoves Dax Harwood down and says, no, we're not doing that. He helps Cope up to his feet. And then he pile drives him on top of a chair. And
no, he pulled him into a shatter machine first.
Oh yeah, thank you. He pulled him into a shatter machine. And I go, FTR heel turn. Yes, this is exactly what we needed. I didn't want to see FTR break up, but then again, I didn't want to see them keep being baby faces. Then they pile drive Cope on a chair, and then they deliver not one, but 2 concertos to him. Cash
Wheeler did. Dax Harwood went for the concerto, and then Cash walks up to his friend and says, allow me. And then he fucking wallops on Edge. Murders him with death.
Cope was going to trust anyone to do any sort of spot with his neck, it would be FTR.
Well, yeah, because they were the ones who got him in ring shape for the 2020 Royal Rumble in the first place.
It was a little scary watching this. Just not because I don't trust FTR to deliver these spots. It's just, if you have watched Cope wrestle the past year, his neck is fucked. His neck is completely fucked. He is completely hunched over. I think he's more hunched over than Kurt Angle. And we all know how Kurt Angle's neck is made out of paper mache. If Kurt Angle's neck is made out of paper mache, Cope's neck is made out of Play-Doh and twigs.
Yeah, it's very scary. But yeah, it looked like a very safe pile driver and a very predictable aftermath. It's probably going to be talked about more than the actual match itself, which, like I said, is probably around 3.25, 3.5 star range in a vacuum. I thought it was solid enough, but
I'm gonna give it 3 stars just because the action was action. Nothing I really haven't seen. I'm very sadistic. I'm gonna laugh at this. So the EMTs come out to put Cope on a stretcher. And FTR shoved the EMTs out of the way. Cash Wheeler puts the neck brace on himself, and then he lays on the stretcher like, "No, wheel me out." I'm like,
and then Dax is trying to pump his heart.
He's trying to resuscitate Cash Wheeler, and I'm like,
and then Cash gets up. Cash gets up and then takes the neck brace off, throws it in the ring, and he's like, "He probably needs it more than I do." What a fucking asshole!
This could be fun. I don't want to see Cope on TV for at least a few months because if this was any other wrestler, sure, but this is Cope. This is the guy who had to fight 11 years from a neck injury to get back in the ring. I don't want to see this full pop up 2 weeks later like nothing happened.
This story is what I want to see more out of in AEW. And what I mean by that is, here, hold on, hear me out. So we kind of can predict the destination of where this is going because FTR is a tag team. Cope is going to need a partner for the eventual blow-off. And everybody and their mother is predicting a reconciliation between him and Uncle Jay before All In. Edge and Christian reuniting, my favorite tag team of all time. I'm all for it. Tomas might not be, but I think it's about the journey and the destination to get there. And I think the journey could be pretty fun. How? Because how in the fuck are Edge and Christian going to get on the same page for this? Like,
you have fun with that, buddy.
Wow. Okay. Listen, I want to have fun with my wrestling. I want to have fun with my storytelling, and I'm curious.
They're going to be called CNC.
Yeah. They're going to bring out kazoos. I want kazoos, and I want oversized hats, and I want them to go to Asheville, North Carolina, and put false teeth in there and pretend to be rednecks.
Feels the need. AEW, the alternative, they feel the need to bring back a WWE gimmick from the year 1999.
Yep.
Again, you guys have fun. I'm gonna turn in early.
Nostalgia. Well, speaking of nostalgia, this next match had a big dose of nostalgia before the bell even rang, didn't it? And I really loved it. I loved it. What do we got?
We have, if my computer will, we have for the AEW Women's World Championship. Holy shit, more than one women's match on an AEW pay-per-view. Timeless Toni Storm defending against the Megasis, Megan Bayne. We have something with Megan Bayne here. She is a female powerhouse that took AEW by storm. No pun intended. And
she's a female Brock Lesnar.
Here she is already challenging for the Women's World Championship. Tony Khan, come here. It's just me and you.
All right. Here, I'm just gonna sit back.
Come closer, Tony. Come closer. you don't always have to give them a world title shot off the bat, right? You don't.
Same thing on the men's side. Same thing on the men's side. You don't have to give fucking Ricochet or Speedball Bailey a title shot right away.
I'm going to compliment this, and you probably won't, but I like the alliance with her and Penelope Ford. It gives Penelope Ford something to do, and I think her and Bayne have good chemistry on screen. On an episode of Collision, Toni Storm is calling out Megan Bayne, cutting a promo on her, and she is leaned up against the ropes, and this is an amazing camera shot. Because out of fucking nowhere, you just see Penelope Ford kick Toni Storm right in the face and get right in view of her camera shot. And I'm like, Penelope Ford, if you did shit more like this, you would be more over. Because that was cool. So
very cool.
Toni Storm comes out to a Rocky Balboa tribute, which I thought was really cool.
Damn right she does. Damn right she does.
She's like in this training montage and she's going out for a jog and she's swimming and she's all tired in bed and they show her running again. They show her swimming some more. And this poor girl is just exhausted by all of it. She comes out with Luther as her Mickey, which is awesome. And Toni Storm comes out in full boxing attire. Toni Storm she is timeless. It's not just the name. She is timeless.
In Rocky Balboa colors, by the way. That classic black and yellow from Rocky 2.
I want to see her parody more movies. This was sweet.
The only thing missing was her running up the steps on the Philadelphia Museum of Art and throwing her hands up in the air. I mean, that might have been too obvious, but I mean, if you want to be Rocky, like, you need to have that.
Toni Storm isn't exactly the most subtle woman in the world, so I think it would have been warranted.
Yeah. Oh, totally. But this match was Megan Bayne dominating for a good portion of this.
Yeah.
Which, here's the deal. I texted Tomas during this match, and it's very clear that Tomas likes his friends who predict weird shit. Because I predicted, like, in the text message to him, I was like, Megan Bayne's dominating. If Toni Storm beats her clean, I will laugh my ass off. You know?
So here's my issue with this. I would have been so fine with Megan Bayne just winning the title. Like,
me too.
Toni Storm had the Hollywood ending. It doesn't really feel much to keep the women's title on her. Because, again, you are booking yourselves into a corner. If you really want timeless Toni Storm to retain, you have something in Megan Bayne here. I want to have seen zero issue with just putting the title on her and turning her into a monster. But there's something I'm going to say, you're not going to like it. You're going to sit there and tell me that Tony Khan is not there licking his lips over a Mercedes Moné Toni Storm match at All In.
I know that's where it's heading. I don't want it because I know Mercedes is going to beat Toni Storm in that case, but that's why I don't want it, because I don't want Mercedes to bury Toni Storm 6 feet deep. I really don't want that.
Think of it this way. AEW took a huge loss when they lost Jade Cargill. Megan Bayne could be their new Jade Cargill.
She can if she, wins all of her matches from now on. Like,
do you think Megan Bayne could be the one to take the TBS title off Mercedes Moné? I know that's a very contradictory statement, but it's like, I'm torn.
If the story is there, then yes. Because
I really hate to break this to you, but I think the end goal is Mercedes Moné winning the Women's World Championship. I don't think Tony Khan can resist himself to have both titles on her.
No,
I don't think he can.
I know he can't. And then Mercedes is going to relinquish the TBS title or something, and they'll have a battle royal, so they'll say she never lost the TBS title.
I don't think Mercedes Moné's ego is going to allow her to do that, because let me tell everybody something right now. Stephanie Vaquer on NXT won the NXT Women's Championship while she was North American champion. That is because Julia is injured, and they had to get the title off of her. Stephanie Vaquer, being the babyface that she is, relinquished the title because she wanted to put over the future of NXT. And now it's being put on the line in a ladder match at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
Do you think Mercedes Moné's character cares about the future of AEW?
No, of course not. Of course not. Without any question.
She's a title hog. She is an absolute title hog.
She's Thanos.
She is, yeah.
She's collecting the Infinity Stones. And putting them on her shitty brass knuckles.
And I think the last two the Stones are the Ring of Honor Women's Championship and the AEW Women's World Title. And it's like, I just feel like all roads lead to Mercedes Moné winning all these goddamn titles. And I feel like looking at this, that was why Toni Storm had to retain here. But they at least kept Megan Bayne looking strong. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Megan Bayne can just win the next match. And I'm like, I don't think the end goal is to put the title on Megan Bayne.
No. And this match, as solid as it was competitive. It was very good. Am I the only one who thought it was like it's kind of sickly funny that Luther technically kidnapped Penelope Ford to even the odds? Because Penelope Ford was on the apron. She was trying to get she was trying to gouge Tony's eyes out. Luther has had enough as Burgess Meredith. He picks up Penelope Ford in a fireman's carry and he takes her to the back.
Hey,
to God knows
Toni
where.
Storm pays Luther a pretty penny to do his job. That man's got to earn his paycheck. Toni Storm is his meal ticket. And you know what? Luther earns every single one of those dollars. Name another faithful manager as Luther. That man has stuck through Toni Storm through thick and thin.
I can't name another one, but sweet cheek music 3 times in a row. And the speed and the velocity at which Toni Storm hits this move is frightening sometimes. Then she hits the Storm Zero, and Megan Bayne kicks out at 1. And that was the point where I was like, if Toni Storm just winds up beating Megan Bayne clean, I'm going to laugh like crazy. But that's exactly what happens. Megan Bayne picks her up for the F5, and it's the same finisher as we saw at Grand Slam where Toni regained the title. She beats Megan Bayne with an inside cradle. And I'm like, bro, how difficult is it to un-Brock Lesnar a Brock Lesnar? Like, this is following the Brock Lesnar formula to a T, and the only piece missing was putting the belt on Megan Bayne here in a dominant fashion over an established star.
I am going to make a crazy comparison. You know what this reminded me of?
What?
John Cena versus Umaga at New Year's Revolution 2007.
You know what? Oh, you're right. Yeah. And you know how much I enjoyed that. You know how much I enjoyed that finish as a kid.
I just don't understand. I'm going to give the match 3 stars. It was fine.
I'm going 3.25. I thought it was pretty good. Competitive. Stiff as hell.
Toni Storm is lucky she's as over as she is, or could see a lot of fans being upset with this. I don't know. I'm looking for something different. And I think that's another thing about this pay-per-view that didn't provide me. Just something different. Something different. And I don't think putting the title on Mercedes Moné is different. That's just having her have a stranglehold on almost every single women's championship. You know what? If WWE wasn't in a relationship with TNA, I'm sure they would send Mercedes Moné over to TNA to beat fucking... Shit, I don't even know who the champion is right now. Masha Slamovich for the Knockouts title. Because I almost said every single title is in WWE.
Wow. I can't even remember the TNA Women's Knockout Champion because Jordan Grace isn't there anymore.
Sky better watch her back. Sasha Banks is coming back.
Fucking Tiffany Stratton better watch her back because she has more than one horsewoman after her now. Fucking hell.
Is that why Ludwig Kaiser is in her DMs?
Easy. But anyway, up next, the third and final Owen Hart Foundation tournament quarterfinal match on this card. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Been a while since we talked about good old Mark here, Mark Briscoe.
I think the last time we talked about Mark Briscoe was when he lost the Ring of Honor World title to Chris Jericho, and I had given up on humanity.
Yeah. Was that a Wrestle Dream? Was that when that was?
Yes. No. Wrestle Dream is when Briscoe retained, and then he dropped the title to Jericho the next week on Dynamite.
And ladder war or something, right?
Yeah. Let me talk about Mark Briscoe for a second, how he's still a national treasure. I was watching the 0 Hour, and the promo he cut before just left me feeling really good inside. He was talking about how him and Jay got into wrestling and how he wanted to win the whole Owen Cup and win the world title. And I'm just sitting there going, Mark. Oh, Marcus.
Marcus Briscoe. Yeah, it's the first round match. And yeah, Kyle Fletcher is AEW's answer to a 2004 Randy Orton, the proto star. Like, looking like fucking Mark Jindrak out here, but
I can't complain too much about this match because, I said they got to keep the momentum going with Kyle Fletcher, and they did that here.
Yeah, especially after he lost the Ospreay feud. Yeah. Like, they needed to recapitalize on the momentum. They cannot lose it with Kyle Fletcher here.
So this was a fun match, and
it was stiff.
It was.
It was stiff, dude.
I think my issues with this match were the art of the finishing move is fucking dead because Kyle Fletcher kicked out of a froggy bow, like 2 froggy bows. I also did not like how Kyle Fletcher delivered a fucking botched brainbuster on Mark Briscoe on the apron. Briscoe landed directly on his fucking head, and then took another brainbuster in the ring, and Briscoe kicked out.
And then Kyle hits a Sami Zayn-esque brainbuster on the top turnbuckle to eventually win over Mark Briscoe, inevitably so, and advance to the semifinals.
Put up a good fight. Like, he hit a froggy bow to the outside. That was very impressive. Like, I enjoyed the wrestling in this match, but it's like, we are, 7, 8 matches deep? And it just feels like this is what AEW does. No. There was another spot in this match that just ruffled my feathers when it comes to that. Kyle Fletcher gives Mark Briscoe an apron bomb and then immediately picks him up and then barricade bombs him. The apron bomb. You mean the move that puts people out for months?
Yeah. It's
the move that ended Ezekiel's career? That move?
Fucking Ezekiel.
What match was it on this card? I don't think it was this one, but I recall a match on this card that somebody hit a top rope razor's edge. And
I think it was this match. It was this match. Mark Briscoe hit Kyle Fletcher with a avalanche razor's edge, and there was a 2 count there. Like, that's the problem with AEW and their beliefs. They just believe in high spots and putting together the most exciting matches.
I remember the spot in the trios match I want to talk about. Claudio Castagnoli hits a tombstone pile driver onto Cash Wheeler, and then there's a double splash spot, and I'm sitting there going, somebody better break this up. Oh no, it was Zack Harwood that took the spot. Thank God Cash broke it up, because I'm sitting here going, the tombstone pile driver, man. No finisher is safe. And WWE, you are not innocent in this. You do the same fucking thing.
Nope.
The art of the finishing move is dead.
I bet if Undertaker watched AEW, he'd probably take the agents to court, for not putting his finisher over.
It's like there was one finisher I believed in, and that was the tombstone pile driver. And no, people are kicking out of it. People want to talk shit about the super kick. No finisher is safe at this point.
Nope.
One finisher in pro wrestling that's protected right now.
It's like Roman Reigns using the crossroads early on in the WrestleMania match. Hey, you know what? That move sucks. That don't beat anybody.
No finisher beats anybody.
No finisher beats anybody at this point.
But Kyle Fletcher wins and he advances, rightfully so. I think Kyle Fletcher needs to make it very far in this feud. Unless he's on the same bracket as Will Ospreay, then it's game over for him. I'm going to give the match 3.5 stars. It was... I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the physicality of this match. And even though I didn't like the kick out of the spots, I thought the spots were very brutal. And Mark Briscoe just goes to show what a fantastic wrestler he is. And thank you for continuing the momentum.
In a vacuum, this is probably one of the better matches on the show, if I'm being honest. Because really I appreciated how stiff it was. And I did not appreciate what this next match did, trying to replicate something that was magical from 16 years ago. And yeah, you want to take it away, Tomas, especially since you were in the building for said match?
Ring of Honor World Title match. Bandido versus Chris Jericho. Title versus mask. Where have I heard that one before? Oh yeah, the Bash 2009. Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio having one of the greatest matches of all time for the Intercontinental title. That was the first pay-per-view I ever attended. And even though the Bash was a pretty terrible show, that was the match of the night there. And it kind of hit me that Jericho was trying to recreate this, but in a not great way.
And keeping in mind, this is a Chris Jericho that's 16 years slower than he was in 2009. And a Chris Jericho that has been revealed is kind of a scumbag in real life and not as respected as he used to be.
So I kind of appreciate them trying to go a more personal route with this match. with the whole, oh, Jericho beat up Gravity, who was Bandido's brother, in front of his family, in front of his mom and his sister. And his mom and his sister were ringside for this match. So they made it title versus mask because Jericho wants to humiliate Bandido and take his mask away. Kind of like on the surface stuff, as opposed to the Jericho Mysterio feud, where Jericho's whole thing about Ray was only cowards hide behind masks, and I want to rip that mask off to humiliate him. It just felt like, I don't know, a more on the surface level of the Jericho Ray feud. Jericho also saying he's beat Bandido twice. Gee, kind of like how Jericho and Ray went 50-50 in their feud. And, you know, they go into the whole, I remember kind of like the magnitude of that match, where 2009 was kind of when I got into wrestling YouTube for the first time. And I was watching these three YouTubers do predictions for the Bash. And one person in particular said, if WWE ever takes off Rey Mysterio's mask, I'm done watching wrestling. That's how important the mask was. Is Bandido Rey Mysterio? Absolutely, he's not. I think he had some sympathy from the crowd. I don't know. I kind of tuned myself out of Chris Jericho matches. So,
yeah, well, you want to talk about
20 minutes, and that was way too long for this match.
Yeah, well, that's number one. And number two, you want to talk about people killing finishers. Jericho is killing his own finishers, because immediately, Codebreaker for a 2 count, Lion Salt for a 2 count, which if this was Chris Jericho 20 years ago, those two moves would have been it. Like, that would have been the finish of the match, and Bandido's mask would have been gone off, but...
Speaking of Bandido's mask coming off, this is where the match gets a little overbooked.
It was very overbooked. It was
unnecessarily overbooked. Like,
there was
a point where
I will say, before we get into this, I did appreciate that Bandido literally held up Chris Jericho for a whole ass minute for a vertical suplex.
Oh, yeah.
And he was asking the crowd for more counts, and Bandido is a deceptively strong individual. Like, a very cool presentation, very cool character. I love the Western cowboy feel of him. Like, that's just, you can tell what kind of characters I like and what kind of movies I like, too. Because Hangman Adam Page is my favorite character in AEW. I like Bandido. I like his presentation.
A little off topic, but I just love how I'm looking at the match card right here, and it says title versus match for the Ring of Honor World title. Bandido, in parentheses, mask, versus Chris Jericho, parentheses, title. Just in case you didn't know, Bandido wore a mask.
See, I could have sworn it was Chris Jericho wearing the mask.
Yeah, Jericho went back to his Mexico gimmick.
But then again, judging from who Jericho voted for, probably, then he probably didn't wear a mask at all. But regardless,
so how did we get into this finish? Like, there was a ref bump. Like, was it a chair to the ref's face? No.
Yeah. No. Oh no. That was a main event. Yeah, that was thinking of the throne chair. But referee Bryce Remsburg takes a bump, and what happens is Chris Jericho. There's some interference going on. There's some interference going on with Gravity and the Learning Tree.
I know why I missed this, because my stream randomly kicked me off while I was trying to watch this match, and by the time I loaded it back up, I saw the Learning Tree and Gravity on the outside of the ring. So after that bump, and then we see an old friend of Chris Jericho's reemerge, Floyd the baseball bat, and he pulls the baseball bat out from behind the steel steps, and he dinks Bandido over the head with it. And this is my issue with this finish, number one. Number one, Jericho takes forever to do the cover. He drops to his knees, he looks around, he scoots over to Bandido, he looks at Bandido, he looks at the ref, and then he slowly hooks the leg. And I'm like, Bandido's got to kick out of this.
Yeah, like you could make a whole sandwich in that sequence you just described. Jericho took a long ass time. Where's Squints Palladores from The Sandlot to describe this? Forever.
Jericho wins and retains the title, and I'm just sitting here going, what the fuck? They are not about to take Bandido's mask off right now. Like, if this was a luchador that people didn't really know, like, people said that the most disrespectful thing WCW ever did was take off Rey Mysterio's mask, and I rightfully agree with that. And I'm just sitting here going, like, Bandido's kind of a known wrestler. You're not going to take his fucking mask off, but I'm just sitting here, like...
And they do. And you know what? They do. And he is about as bald and as ugly as Ricochet is.
Yeah, he wore the mask for a reason, but
Just kidding.
Going like, are you fucking kidding me? You want to keep the Ring of Honor World title on Jericho that badly that you're going to take Bandido's mask away from him? But then, okay, I'm all for a dusty finish, but just the way they did this was so inconsistent when it comes to pro wrestling. Bandido's mom and sister are begging the referee, no, Jericho cheated, he used a baseball bat. And Aubrey Edwards takes them out of ringside to show her where the baseball bat is. And I'm just sitting here going, why don't they do this with all interference spots in pro wrestling? Just have someone say, no, he used the chair. No, he used a low blow. And they don't even look at the replay. Aubrey Edwards just takes their word for it.
Yeah.
Chris made a good point. Like, they could have planted the baseball bat there for all we knew.
Yeah.
All I can say is because Aubrey Edwards hates Chris Jericho.
Yeah, but even though Chris Jericho challenged the play during Stadium Stampede, and they went to replay to show him that it was indeed a 2 count off a Judas effect, and he challenged the play. Like, it's where was the red challenge flag from Bandido's mother?
It was just like, I'm all for a dusty finish, but like, you need a more concrete proof with that, because I want to see all wrestlers do that now. Just say he hit me with a low blow. Just say he hit me with brass knuckles. They got to take your word for it. They took Bandido's mom's word for it. That's not a biased opinion whatsoever. So Aubrey Edwards pulls out the baseball bat, tells Bryce Wemsworth to restart the match, and then Bandido wins the world championship. It was a feel-good moment. I'm glad Bandido got this spot on pay-per-view, and I'm glad the Ring of Honor world title was not on Chris Jericho anymore. But did we need a dusty finish for this? Did we really? Or was it just to get a cheap off in the crowd? Just for the shock factor?
Yes.
The holy shit. I will admit, it kind of worked on me, because I was sitting there going, holy shit, they're really good at Bandido right now. But then when I saw the mom and the sister, I was like, no, it's a fucking dusty finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but regardless, this is one of the better Jericho matches in recent memory that I can remember, just because of that emotional roller coaster that we were sent on.
I'll give it 3 stars.
I'll go 3.25.
Okay.
It was good. I thought it was good enough. And you'll notice that not a lot of matches are getting above the 3.25 star range. It's a pretty, consistent show all the way around, but nothing's really lighting the world on fire. And that includes this next match, which really should light the world on fire. Because for the TNT Championship, it's Daniel Garcia defending against my boy Adam Cole, where there is no time limit and no outside interference. So what are they saying here, Tomas? Every AEW match has a time limit, and every AEW match can have interference.
Apparently.
What?
Yes. How many times in WWE have you heard the stipulation, everybody is banned from ringside? And they still interfere anyway.
Well, Daniel Garcia doesn't even have, friends who can be banned from ringside. Adam Cole has the whole last Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah, he does. He has 2.0.
Debatable.
Oh, you want to know that because this was a Collision exclusive feud.
Yeah. Poor Adam Cole. Cole, man.
Basically, the build to this was Undisputed Kingdom faced Daniel Garcia 2.0, a.k.a. the former Jericho Appreciation Society, in a trios match. And then Cole wanted a shot at the TNT title. The first title shot he got, there was interference. I forgot who interfered. I think it was Shane Taylor Promotions. Yeah, Shane Taylor Promotions interfered and caused a double DQ. The second time around, time limit. Straight out of the playbook of Adam Cole and MJF. Adam Cole was going for the boom, and then the time expiration went off. Match never ended. So this is how we led here. And I'm going to say right now, I did not care about this match.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because I enjoy both guys as workers. I think
the mighty have fallen. Adam Cole.
Remember when the Undisputed Era was the most dominant stable in NXT history?
They've been reduced to this shit.
Remember that?
Reduced to this shit.
Yeah.
The Revival versus Undisputed Era and NXT would tear the house down. And now they're farting around on Collision, doing whatever the fuck I saw Alvarez in a review the other week.
I don't know, dude. I mean, I know at least one booker on this planet who would give Adam Cole the world championship, but Adam Cole's kind of shackled for a few more years, isn't he?
This at the end of the MJF feud, where I was like, Adam Cole can't recover from this. It sure feels like he can't recover from this.
Well, I mean, what are you talking about? They gave him a championship. Of course he recovered.
See you on Saturday, Cole.
Fuck me, dude. So, you also remember when the TNT Championship was a sought-after prize? And
yeah, when Cody was champion.
The announcers
Allen was champion.
And the announcers cannot say Cody Rhodes' name on AEW TV because he is the face of the opposition.
Cody was the inaugural TNT champion, wasn't he?
Yes! Yes! Yeah. Because Cody could not challenge for the AEW title. Like,
I don't know what else
so
to say.
Cody made his own title.
It was a match. Was it just me or did the crowd feel dead for it?
Well, it's because both guys are baby faces and they don't know who to cheer for.
I mean, I was happy when Daniel Garcia won the TNT title, but it sure felt like he did a whole lot of nothing with it.
Yeah, it was. Remember when I said that Jack Perry's TNT title reign was the most forgettable one of all time during the Full Gear review?
Unfortunately, that's Garcia now.
Yep, the very next reign.
I will give the match this. I liked the finish because it was decisive. Adam Cole hit 2 Panama Sunrises and the boom. No kick out.
The last shot.
The boom. Because I looked at that. I was like, oh, 1 Panama Sunrise. 2 Panama Sunrises. He's setting up for the boom. Oh, his finishing move. If Daniel Garcia kicks out of this, I am throwing my fucking TV out the window. And Garcia didn't kick out. Thank
God. I do also appreciate that early on in the match, Adam Cole goes for a Panama Sunrise on the outside, and Daniel Garcia moves out of the way, and he lands on his bum ankle, his surgically repaired ankle, that he shattered in that freak accident all those years ago that halted all of his momentum during the Brochacho feud with MJF. So I guess at least they played into that history. And Daniel Garcia was kind of playing the pseudo heel, but that leads into my issue. Why would you want to boo Daniel Garcia at this point? What has Daniel Garcia done for you to boo him or hate him?
The crowd just felt very lukewarm for this match. And then you talk about, like, is it really already time to turn Garcia heel again? Because Adam Cole reaches out to shake hands with Garcia, and it looks like he, like, reluctantly did it. And Garcia left very pouty.
Yeah.
Like, very pouty.
I'm glad Adam finally won a title in this promotion.
I was just going to say, this was Adam Cole's first title in AEW. Wasn't Adam Cole the longest reigning NXT champion of all time at one point?
Yep. He sure was. It was on his way to possibly being the WWE champion. But no. And now he's going to be stuck in Collision Purgatory for about 6 months. But I'll give the match credit, which again, in a vacuum, I think it's solid enough. Probably in the 3.5 star range. I thought it was good wrestling. I'm being generous. I know these guys.
2 3/4 for me.
Wow, yeah, these guys are both good wrestlers. I like their work, man. But this one, again, just not really lighting the world on fire. This pay-per-view needed something to have me remember it as, like, as just something. Thank God we have this next match, don't we?
For the International Championship, a 3-way. Kenny Omega defending against Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricochet. Speedball Mike Bailey signed with AEW a month ago, and he entered this tournament for the International Championship. It came down to him and Ricochet and 2 others in a 4-way that I cannot remember. I think it was Mark Davis and... Oh, help me out here.
I don't remember off the top of my head. It can't have been Orange Cassidy.
It was Cassidy.
Was it really?
It was. Orange Cassidy, Mark Davis, Ricochet, and Speedball Mike Bailey.
Remember when Orange Cassidy was challenging for the world title 4 months ago?
He's injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think it's fair comparison. He's injured.
Well wishes to Orange Cassidy.
Bailey and Ricochet end up pinning each other. So the referee makes it a triple threat. Didn't know referees weld that much power in pro wrestling, but
I know, right?
And I knew this was going to be good. Hell, I knew this was going to be great. I didn't think this match was going to be perfection.
This match was awesome. Like, God, just a great professional wrestling match, man. And for the second pay-per-view in a row, Kenny Omega, after coming off a life-threatening bout of diverticulitis, has the best match on the card. I think just for that reason alone, Tomas, Kenny Omega is slowly but surely, if he wasn't already, becoming one of my favorite pro wrestlers of all time.
No, that is the best bout machine for a reason.
That shit is fucking inspiring. And Kenny, like,
a crazy ass take. Somebody said Kenny Omega's good, but he's not the Kenny Omega of old. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
No.
You're gonna watch this match right here and tell me that Kenny Omega is washed?
No. I refuse to believe that. Kenny Omega looks like he hasn't lost a damn step. Even though he was sitting on his couch for a year, like, healing whatever's right here, and there was a point where he hits the announce table and he sold his diverticulitis, which is something that Brock Lesnar used to do a lot, which I dig it. I dig that they're selling where the injury was or the sickness was, but yeah.
Speedball Mike Bailey. He was already one of my favorite people in wrestling because prior to signing with AEW, he would post videos on Instagram, and anyone who would talk shit, he would talk shit back to and absolutely own them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how damn good of a pro wrestler Mike Bailey was until this match. I didn't realize how good of a fucking seller he was. Because the way he was selling these spots, I thought this man was going to keel over and die any second now. And on top of all of that, again, I'm eating my big bowl of crow when it comes to Ricochet. Because he has come into his own as a heel. One of my favorite spots in the match, he got on commentary to talk shit. And while he was talking shit, Speedball Mike Bailey's foot comes out of nowhere and just kicks this man to Kingdom Come.
Breaking the headset, because Speedball tried to get on commentary right after that spot, and you couldn't hear a damn thing he was saying.
Imagine your kick being so powerful that you break a headset.
With no shoes on.
Yeah.
Speedball does not wear shoes when he wrestles, which is crazy. And another funny thing, I'm sure if Lindsay was watching this match, Speedball Bailey would be her favorite because he came out looking like a whole-ass frog. Right? Because the color of his gear, and it looked like he had frog eyes on his hood. What's wrong with frogs?
A lot. There's a lot wrong with frogs.
No, there's not. Why? And it's coming from the guy who sends me an AI-generated image of Rob Van Dam's 5-star frog splash as a finisher. It's just RVD's face in the mouth of a frog. Like,
I didn't make the damn picture.
Yeah, but you're the one who sent it to me.
I also showed you a picture of Rusev with a glass in his hand. That was his accolade.
Oh, fucking hell. It's just the same thing you showed me of Great Khali looking like he was on Survivor doing the Punjabi plunge.
Anywho, one of Speedball Mike Bailey's signature moves is a moonsault into a knee drop, which is so goddamn impressive. He goes for this move on Ricochet on the apron, and he misses, and his knee, that sound it made when it collided with the apron. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
That must have hurt like hell.
That's why his finisher is not only impressive, but fucking dangerous. Because it's like, what if he fucking misses? He's going all out. No pun intended, but that's like going all or nothing. So, this was a tremendous match. I do feel like it did go a little bit too long. I feel like if you trimmed maybe 5 minutes off of it and have it at an even faster pace.
Disagree.
Really?
I thought the length was perfect because I had no idea how this shit was going to end. It was spot after spot after spot after spot after spot after spot. And these were all tremendous spots. More accolades to Speedball because there was a point where both him and Ricochet are on opposite sides of the ring trying to get in. Kenny Omega hits Ricochet with the V-trigger, and then he turns right around and he blasts Speedball with a V-trigger that sends him flying out of the ring. Speedball Mike Bailey is officially one of the best sellers in pro wrestling.
Yes, yeah, and his screams of agony as he's selling his knees is just stuff of legend, and it makes me convinced that he's not actually selling, that he's actually hurting like hell.
So,
you know?
Ricochet gets Speedball Mike Bailey up, I think, for Vertigo. And I'm surprised you haven't brought this up yet because I love this. Mike Bailey does the Karate Kid pose. He
fucking yes.
Sets up for the Karate Kid. And Ricochet looks at him and goes, "You really think that's going to work? You really think that's not going to work on me? That's not going to work on me." Ricochet runs at him straight out of Karate Kid. Crane kick to the face. And I'm like, Mike Bailey's becoming one of my favorite pro wrestlers now.
I fucking love that. I need Speedball to come out to You're the Best Around at some point.
Yes.
Accompanied by Ralph Macchio.
So,
Like,
Mike Bailey doing
that
that made
happen.
me love him. But then I thought to myself, why has nobody done that spot before?
Yeah. Well, there's a new Karate Kid movie coming out. Have that sponsor Double or Nothing and have Ralph Macchio come out and accompany Speedball to the ring for a match against Ricochet or something.
Because
Like-
the Crane Kid scene is iconic. And you're
Yes!
telling me no professional wrestlers have looked at that movie and go, I want to fucking do that in the ring.
You know, it's...
And we all know how much the writers of Cobra Kai are huge wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that should have been a foregone conclusion a long time ago.
To the point where you hear Judas being played full blast in Stingray's house.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. You know, like, I need some sort of Karate Kid tie-in with Speedball.
Yes.
I can't believe I haven't brought this part up yet either. But can you imagine Speedball and Ricochet being a tag team? Their tag team name would be Speedballed. I'll see myself out now. I'll see myself out. I'll let Tomas finish.
Until you said the name.
Speedballed. And the crowd was having fun with Ricochet too. They were chanting bald like the SpongeBob the SpongeBob SquarePants movie where the king's plastic bag is taken off his head, or the paper bag rather. And then you see the shiny like bald, bald, bald.
Bald forever.
Yeah.
This is bald.
This is bald.
Why does it matter that he's bald? There's a lot of wrestlers that are bald.
Why does it matter that he's ugly? Why does it matter that he's ugly?
Ricochet for being bald, like Goldberg, Bobby Lashley, Kurt Angle, Claudio Castagnoli, Stone Cold Steve Austin. All these wrestlers were bald. Why are we picking on Ricochet in particular?
Well, because he had that reaction on that Instagram stream, and it blew up in his face.
Let me guess. Why did Ricochet look like he was going to cry in that video?
Well, I mean, Samantha Irvin also just married him despite that. So, you know,
Yikes.
teach their own. Anyway, so the finish of this match is fucking awesome. So Ricochet and Speedball are on the top rope. Kenny Omega gets up on the second rope, and he's been teasing the one-winged angel this entire match. Hasn't been able to hit it, but he finally gets Ricochet on his shoulders while he's on the second rope. Boom! Avalanche one-winged angel, and I'm like, if Ricochet fucking kicks out of this, I'm gonna throw my expensive TV off my balcony right here. Like, that is ridiculous if he kicks out of it. And Speedball cannot save it because he is tied up in the Tree of Woe, and he has to watch it as Kenny Omega
is fucked already. The fact that he went this long with that fucked up knee.
Mm-hmm. And Kenny Omega, thank God, retains the championship, and Ricochet. Really? Oh.
5 stars. Remember how my favorite three-way in AEW was Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, and Pac? This match has overtaken
this one overtook it.
Yeah.
I was very close to giving this 5 stars. I'm going 4 3/4. I do still feel like there were a couple of slow points in this match that they could have trimmed loose, and they really could have made it 5 stars if they trimmed maybe 5 minutes off of it. But
fair enough.
It was still outstanding. No question about it, the best match on this show. Kenny Omega is a fucking marvel in every sense of the word. How he is operating at this level after dealing with diverticulitis is still astounding to me. He is an inspiration, and nobody can take that away from him. And Ricochet is proving everybody wrong by being one of the most fun heels in the entire business. Even though he's bald and he's ugly as shit, it's still a lot of fun to
be about Mike Bailey.
Him. Yes.
He showed up and he showed everyone that he's here. He's here to play.
In his first AEW pay-per-view, mind you.
I want to see good things for Mike Bailey. I was a little hesitant when he signed with AEW, but if they can keep up the momentum with him, please do something with Mike Bailey.
Yeah.
Speaking of unifying these titles, Kazuchika Okada comes out and Kenny Omega backs down. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen in July.
Yeah, and the cameraman was very, very blatant in having the All In Texas banner in the background while they were having their face-off. And that's another thing. I forgot to mention this earlier. you cannot tell me that AEW is not trying to be WWE when you have fucking Will Ospreay pointing at the All-In sign after he wins his Owen match. You cannot tell me that they're not trying to be WWE. Like, it's... No, you can't do that.
Pointing season. The only issue I have with the Okada Omega stuff is that every Continental title and every international title match is going to be a foregone conclusion because that's one match Tony Khan is not going to risk. We're going to get Okada Omega at All In, and they're going to unify the titles. And I say, fuck it, put both titles on Kenny Omega. He needs to... I think the Continental title needs to dissolve, and it just needs to be called the International title, the Undisputed International Championship, and have Kenny Omega be the measuring stick in AEW like he used to be.
The Intercontinental Championship. Just merge the names.
No.
Why not? Why not?
Because then we're gonna have to see Kenny Omega versus Braun Breaker, and I don't think my boner can handle that.
No. You don't think Kenny's diverticulitis can handle a Braun Breaker spear?
I think Kenny Omega can handle anything at this point.
Yeah. No, he definitely can for sure.
I wish that the pay-per-view would have ended with this match.
Oh man, yeah, and I also wish that Kenny Omega came out to his Battle Cry theme song and not
Me
whatever
too.
this is. You know, I miss that song. What happened to it? What happened to it,
Kenny
man?
Omega's a weeaboo. He's a weeb. He's got to come out to his anime music.
Yeah, that's why I love Kenny Omega too. He's a fucking dork. He is a fucking dork.
Let me guess, you want to meet him.
I do!
I guess you want to hang out with him.
Yes, I do.
Hang out with him, Adam Cole, Xavier Woods, Claudio Castagnoli, and play Uno with them.
I mean, I want to play Smash with them. I want to tell Adam Cole that he probably needs to practice his smashing, but...
But let me guess, you want to play Uno with them, and you want to ask Adam Cole what color he wants.
Red.
I personally want to play WWE 2K with AJ Styles and watch him fucking rage quit when I beat him.
No, I want to play Madden with AJ Styles.
I want to play Madden with Seth Rollins because I think I would leave that room with a broken jaw.
Well, as you said, this podcast has gone off the rails. Number one,
game with Rollins. Oh my god,
I hate football.
Bears win. I love football.
Yeah, I wonder if
Seth Rollins. He seems like if he was one of your buddies, you would not want to watch football with him because he is totally I hate this sport when my team is losing. I love this sport when my team is winning.
I mean, I'm the same way when the Seahawks are winning and losing, respectively. But
fair.
Yeah, we can't wait for Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp to take this team to new heights. But
I bet there's a lot of crying in your house.
Yeah, there is. But yeah, like I said, this podcast has gone off the rails. But we have one more match to talk about that we haven't.
That's why I went off the rails. I don't want to talk about this match, man.
I mean, I don't want to talk about it either, but this is what we get, right? This is what we get. Yeah. This is what we signed up for. John Moxley, representing the goddamn shithead douchebag fucking Death Riders, is defending the AEW World Heavyweight Championship briefcase against Swerve Strickland. And you know how I said he's defending the briefcase? This fucking referee has the gall to raise the briefcase up.
Well, the Death Riders ain't taking the title out of there, so...
You have the power to cut it open! I want to see the belt!
Oh, and Rich John Moxley kicking your ass? Oh, yeah, John Moxley.
Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? The Death Riders fucking suck!
I'm going to say this now, believe it or not. I actually like the build to Cope and Moxley more than I like the build to this. The build to this was just... I know Moxley and Strickland cut a really good promo on Dynamite, but the main build to this was on the Go Home Dynamite, Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale defeated Moxley and Marina Shafir. And then Moxley hit Willow Nightingale with the Death Rider, and Swerve Strickland wanted revenge. But in the midst of that, there was something very interesting that happened backstage that was more interesting than anything they have shown. Hangman Adam Page showed up, and he got in Swerve Strickland's face, and he said, I told you I would make sure you never won the world title again. And Swerve Strickland said, you broke into my house. And no, other way around. Hangman Adam Page tells Swerve Strickland, you broke into my house. And Swerve Strickland says, you burned down my house. And Hangman says, you deserved it. And Swerve Strickland says, I know. And we were just like, wait, what?
What did he mean by that? And I don't know.
Storyline I'm interested in.
So, Swerve and Hangman on another topic here, because I don't want to fucking talk about the Death Riders. You guys know what I think about it. It's dog shit. Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page are essentially AEW's answer to what Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are doing right now. It almost feels like Swerve and Hangman are destined to do this forever, and these are the two guys that you revolve this company around. Like, Swerve's got that Roman Reigns style aura about him. Hangman Adam Page has that Cody Rhodes everyman aura about him. Like, if these two guys were to team up, and Hangman was going to forgive Swerve for breaking into his house, Swerve was going to forgive Hangman for burning down his house, like, that's got to be saved for a special moment, and it's got to have some sort of payoff. Right?
It really does. Said, even though they had that steel cage match, these two need to meet for the world title.
Yep.
And that's why, as much as I love Will Ospreay, and I'd be okay with it, but I want Hangman Page to win the Owen. I want Hangman Adam Page to win the world title. And when he's done having a good run with it, drop it back to Strickland, and I want Hangman Adam Page to award the title to Strickland. Do the whole Strickland wins, Hangman Page yanks the title away. It's like who did Chris Jericho do this to? I think he did it to Jeff Hardy. But Jericho lost the title to Jeff Hardy, and Jericho yanked the title away from the referee, looked at the title, and put it on his shoulder. I want Hangman Adam Page to do that with Swerve Strickland.
Yeah. Do I have faith that Tony Khan's going to pull the trigger on that? Especially after the dog shit ending this match had? I have no faith. And
I don't want to. Swerve Strickland is one of my favorite people in professional wrestling. He came out dressed as Static Shock, which is fucking awesome. If you don't know who Static Shock is, get off this channel. You're too young. You're too young. I pop for that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and keep my composure here as we go through this.
Boring as fuck.
It was way too fucking long at 31 minutes, which is the same amount of time that the three-way right before this got. And it's not like it's bad wrestling that we're seeing, because Jon Moxley, his resume speaks for itself. He's a very... Swerve also.
Favorite wrestlers in AEW. So it's not... I don't want to say they had bad chemistry, but there was a lot of inconsistencies in this match. It's like... I guess you can compare it to like Attitude Era. Okay, Triple H versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 17. You know what my big issue with that match was? The ref took a bump, and Triple H and Taker wrestled outside the ring for like 10 minutes, and they used that to justify it. Here, it was even worse.
Yeah.
Because there is a close countout spot early in the match with Strickland, but then Strickland and Moxley wrestle on the outside, and they are wrestling so long that I'm looking at the referee going, why the fuck are you not counting?
And lo and behold, also, Swerve Strickland is working to beat the 10 count. The referee's at 9. Marina Shafir is like a couple of centimeters away from Swerve. What's to stop her from like stopping Swerve from getting into the ring and letting Mox win by countout?
I would say disqualification, but looking at the stuff they did in this match felt like a mix of an Attitude Era main event, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but also a WCW.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
See the shirt I'm wearing? I miss main events like this in AEW.
I do too.
I miss it so much.
You got this spot right here that really drives the point home. Moxley pulled out a ladder, and I'm just sitting here going, what? Like, you all should have been counted out a long time ago. And you know how, like, in WWE, when stuff like this would happen, and the commentaries would say, wow, the referee is giving a lot of leeway to this match because it's a world title match. They don't even say that. They just let it happen. And Swerve Strickland delivers a swerve stomp off the ladder through the announce table. It's like, if you were going to do this, just fucking make it a no-holds-barred match.
Yeah. I mean, what's to stop the Death Riders from coming out, like, 2 minutes into the match? It's the same problem I had with the Bloodline Rules match last year. Why did it take so long for Big Jim to run down to the ring? Like, logically speaking, you know, what was to stop the Bloodline members from running in, like, as soon as the bell rang? Like,
yeah, but here it's just like there's no set rules for it. So let's get to the finish. Obviously,
I don't want to.
The Death Riders run interference after the ref takes a bump when Moxley throws a chair at Strickland and Strickland ducks and it hits the referee.
Which I will say that's a cool spot, though.
It was a cool spot, but why did the referee even allow the chair in the ring in the first place? So
might as well just make it no DQ. But
Death Riders run through. They try to take out Strickland.
Well, no, Hangman runs out first.
Hangman Adam Page runs out, and he's going to hit Swerve Strickland with the buckshot lariat because he wants to prevent him from winning the world title. But then he looks at Jon Moxley, kind of like, I have respect for Swerve Strickland now, but Jon Moxley, like, who do I hit? Who do I take? Then I keep wanting to say Blackpool Combat Club. Death Riders run in.
I wish it was the Blackpool Combat Club.
Hangman Page drives them out. They're fighting on the outside, and you're going to think this was random as fuck, but I kind of liked it. The Ops runs through. Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Hook, because on the Go Home Dynamite, the Ops cut a promo backstage saying, we're going to be a dynasty, and we're going to be keeping our eyes on everything. I like this for the Ops. It's kind of like the Ops are the Angels of Anarchy of AEW. Like, we're going to step in when we see that shit doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
When shit is unjust, we're going to be there to help out. So the Ops run out the Death Riders, and Swerve Strickland finally hits a swerve stomp on Jon Moxley. You think he's going to win. He's crawling for the cover. And you know what? I had this finish ruined for me, and I didn't give a fuck. Because if I would have saw it live, I would have had a goddamn heart attack. A conniption. The lights go out. The lights come back up. It's our good friends, the Young Bucks. And they have Swerve Strickland set up for an EVP trigger. They hit the EVP trigger. Jon Moxley covers. Jon Moxley retains. LOL, Moxley wins. Floor is yours.
All right. Let me start by saying this. It goes without saying the Death Riders are shit. And I hate seeing Moxley's reign continue. Didn't I say last week when we recorded the Revolution review that I have zero faith that the AEW is going to put the title on Swerve Strickland? Didn't I say that? You
did, and deep down, I knew they weren't going to put the title on Strickland, but I was holding on to hope. I was holding on to hope big time.
It's gotten to the point with the Death Riders that I really do not care. And I also said that I compared the Death Riders to the Ministry of Darkness in a sense, where at least with the Ministry of Darkness, there was a reveal of who the puppet master of the Ministry was, even though it makes no goddamn sense. If this turns out that the Bucks were the ones who were orchestrating the Death Riders from the very beginning, it makes zero fucking sense. Because the last time we saw the Bucks, wasn't it when they were getting into an SUV and fucking running out of the arena with their tails tucked between their legs because they were scared of the Death Riders?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the last time we saw Matt and Nick?
We are so far removed of that aspect of the story that it makes even less sense now. When's the last time the Death Riders tried to take over AEW? We are so far removed from that.
Yeah.
That the Death Riders are just a bunch of guys that cheat to win a match. And I just cannot, I don't understand why we need to keep the title on Moxley when we are so deep into this that the fans cannot stand it. Is the plan to take the title off Moxley at All In? I don't think that's worth it anymore. I would have much rather they put the title on Strickland and he drops it at All In. Is that a transitional reign? Sort of. 4 months. But you know what? We love Swerve Strickland so much that I wouldn't have fucking cared.
I saw...
Was Samoa Joe a transitional feud? Yes, it was. Did I care? No.
Yeah, Samoa Joe, won the title at World's End and then dropped it at Dynasty last year to Swerve. Go figure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on Twitter were like, oh, I'm getting feelings of Roman versus Cody waking up this morning, watching Moxley and Swerve. But the question is it going to be 39 or 40? And I was like, you guys are setting yourselves up for disappointment. I told you this was going to happen. Like, as much as I love Swerve, as much as I would have loved to have seen him be the guy to finally fucking end this Death Riders angle, which has sucked all creativity and all life out of AEW television for the past, 7 months now?
Yeah,
and November. We haven't seen the fucking title on television since Moxley retired Bryan Danielson in WrestleDream. That is fucking ridiculous. Like, if you're going for the World Heavyweight Championship, you should feel inspired. And you should be seeing that title and wanting it. You should not want a fucking briefcase. You should not want a piece of luggage. That would be like if Roman Reigns took the bags that the Usos were carrying for him and he stuck both the Universal title belt and the WWE title belt in those bags. And
refused to take them out.
That's fucking ridiculous, though. Cody Rhodes would have been fighting for pieces of luggage.
We are so far removed of that aspect of the story that I can't even remember why the world title was in a briefcase or if Moxley even revealed why the world title was in a briefcase.
It doesn't make any sense either way. And I'll tell you why. Because in interviews that you hear of Jon Moxley, he goes on and on about how he fucking loves this place and how happy he is in AEW. It doesn't make a damn lick of sense that Moxley is the leader of this group of renegades. It does not make any sense.
If they wanted to put the world title in a briefcase, fine. But the fact that you just said it's been in there for 7 months is ridiculous.
Yeah. And
like if they wanted to keep the title in a briefcase for like a month or two, sure. But 7 months?
And I'll address this too. I feel like a lot of you wrestling journalists who are begging for AEW media passes are letting this shit slide because you want to get on Tony's good side and you want to go to those media scrums. I better, at the Double or Nothing scrum, I'm not going to hear these questions, but I listen to some of that Dynasty media scrum, as egregious as it is, and they're asking Tony questions about his fucking Waffle House order. When are you going to ask him about his damn creative? When are you going to ask him that there's a problem? Or tell him there's a problem?
I think too many journalists have asked him that, and they know that he just dances around questions. Ariel Helwani, way back when the CM Punk stuff was fresh. Tony Khan refused to answer anything. I don't think they want to bother. And I'm going to turn into JD from NY for a second and say that Tony Khan surrounds himself with ass-kissing yes men like Will Washington. And, you know, I mean, I love her to death, but look at Denise Salcedo's channel. She doesn't say a bad thing about AEW ever.
No.
Ever. She doesn't say one negative thing about AEW. Not to say she's over there bashing WWE, but it's like, she's a fangirl. She's nothing but a fangirl. And I don't listen to wrestling YouTubers just to get the fan aspect of him. I like listening to Greg because he gives it straight. I like listening to JD from NY because he doesn't pull any punches. I like listening to Solid Monster because he's unbiased. I want to hear unbiased, cold, raw takes on the state of professional wrestling. If I wanted to watch a fangirl just talk about, yay, AEW, yay, WWE, it's all great, I would just flip on the WWE YouTube channel and watch them just parade around how great they are.
And pat themselves on the back.
Yeah.
You know, and it pains me to say this because I don't want to, like, you know, start any friction with anybody. Not that they're going to be watching these, but, like, here's the deal. There's a lot of good people on this medium, but we need to, like, consistently be calling out these companies for their problems. Yeah. And if we want to be actual critics, like, we got to do what we do. We got to do what Greg does. We got to do what JD does, as extreme as his takes might be for some people.
Yeah.
I can at least respect JD because of his, not just because of his passion, but because he's not afraid to be honest about things.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Solid Monster. Yeah. Solid Monster is awesome, you know, but it's people are too concerned about, you know, their own careers taking off and keeping those little pretty AEW media passes that Tony gives them for saying good shit about his products. Like I don't need that. I mean, I have a life outside of this. Tomas has a life outside of this.
People have asked me so much growing up, why don't you get involved in the business? I see bootlickers like this and I go, this is why.
Yeah.
I never, after the stuff I've seen the past couple of years, would never want to be a wrestling journalist. Never, ever, ever, ever in my life. I am perfectly fine being a fan. And I like, you know, we talked about all those people. I like talking about wrestling with Greg. I love listening to Solomonster and his takes. I have a grand old time listening to JD rant. I like listening to Brian Zane go in depth with his memories of pro wrestling. I listen to these people. Do I agree with everything Greg says? No. And I'm sure if he heard this, he'd be like, yeah, I don't want you to agree with me everything.
Exactly.
Everything Solomonster says? No. Do I agree with everything Brian says? No.
Do you know what? Do you know?
Listen to them.
Do you know why I don't want people to agree with me? Because that's what makes this shit fun.
Yeah.
I love hearing your guys' thoughts. I love getting into debates with Greg. I love getting into, like, you know, I love getting in the chat and, like, hearing
I love getting in debates with you.
Yeah.
It would not be fun if we didn't debate it. Imagine
exactly.
if we sat here and go, yeah, Cody Cena's great. Yeah, Jay and Gunta's great. Yeah, fucking Judgment Day and Braun Breaker's great. Yeah, John Moxley's Strickland's great. That'd be boring.
This show would be really fucking boring, and I would, I'd feel like I was speaking into the void. No offense, but, like, I don't want to do that. I want to, like, get into it.
The point we're trying to make here with all of this is, like, Tony Khan, the fans are upset, and you need to acknowledge that the fans are upset. And I know pro wrestling, you can't please everybody. You're never going to please everybody. I always reference that meme of the Star Wars book. The newest Star Wars adventure with over 5 billion possible endings written by the greatest writer in Star Wars history, you.
Yeah, and you know what?
Pro wrestling. Everybody in the world is the best booker in the world.
Well, and to a certain extent, I feel like the Star Wars fan base is a lot more toxic than the wrestling fan base. But
yeah.
So I don't know if that's a completely fair comparison. But my advice to Tony would be this from this point on. Learn when to say no to your staff. Be the boss. Because when you give someone like Jon Moxley, who is incredibly talented, I'm not knocking Jon Moxley at all, but when you give him full creative control over the Death Rider's angle, and this is all his decision, and all you can tell him is, oh yeah, John, it's great. I'll keep you on contract for another 5 years so you don't have another Shield reunion. Like, you can't be afraid to say no to these guys.
No,
you know?
Exactly.
Because Tony Khan is afraid. That's what I feel like.
Tony Khan has lost in these past couple years alone. CM Punk.
Hell, in the past couple months.
Ray Fenix. And you saw what happened when he tried to keep Ray Fenix in AEW prison. Fenix was threatening to tell the world about his experience with AEW.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what happened when he tried to keep Ricky Starks in AEW prison. Ricky Starks was already out there, making his voice known at GCW shows. Like, Tony Khan, it's okay. You don't have to have a 100% batting average. You're going to have stars, and you're going to have falling outs. I know Tony Khan. He wants to be friends with everybody. That's why he's over here hugging Shibata and Claudio Castagnoli and Kenny Omega and the Bucks. Like, he wants to be everybody's best friend. But I think what CM Punk said in his interview said it best. Like, Tony Khan is not a boss. He's a nice guy.
He doesn't know how to say no to these people.
Yeah.
It's, you could do that in customer service. You can't do that as a CEO of a multi-million-dollar wrestling company. You gotta know when shit sucks. And this Death Rider's angle...
say something crazy.
Go for it.
It's a good thing Vince McMahon was an asshole.
Well, yeah, because you don't want a lot of your booking to go off the rails like it did in a little company called WCW, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why WCW is no longer in business. Because you give people like Kevin Nash the pen, and you have him be the guy to end Goldberg's streak to stroke his ego.
You have Hulk Hogan with full creative control for him to have the power to say, that doesn't work for me, brother, with almost every person he worked with. Especially
with Sting.
Yeah.
Who has dealt with so much more bullshit in his career than God knows. Like,
with that being said, again, AEW feels like Groundhog Day. It's the same show every single week.
This main event was on its way to being maybe a 3.5-star match, but that finish docked it down to 2.25.
Wow.
Like,
2.5 for me. This is nothing against Swerve Strickland. Hell, it's nothing against Jon Moxley. I still think they're fantastic wrestlers, but this booking is dog shit. And with that being said, I'm going to give Dynasty a 7 out of 10. It was a solid night of wrestling with a fantastic 3-way. But, you look at Revolution. They had the cage match. They had Omega Takeshita. They had Tony Storm, Mariah May. They had Ricochet, Swerve Strickland. This was a fine night of wrestling, but aside from the opener and the three-way, nothing really to write home about.
6.75 out of 10.
Wow.
And that is
now,
the lowest.
Disagreeing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about disagreeing? JD said that this was the worst AEW pay-per-view of all time. I would not go that far.
You know, I don't know if I agree with him yet on that, because Full Gear last year was not that great of a show either. But it's not too far-fetched. That opinion is not too far-fetched. So
one of the worst booking decisions? Sure. I still think Revolution had a worse booking ending. Hell, World's End, that was fucking overbooked dog shit.
And that is one of my other last points that I wanted to make, and I'm glad you reminded me. Hangman Page ended up helping Swerve Strickland. That is humongous. Like, because those two guys fucking hated each other. When you have a moment like Hangman, you know, not coming to his senses necessarily, but not forgetting, but forgiving Swerve Strickland for the greater good, that should lead to Swerve winning the title. You don't waste that moment. You don't waste that whole, like, idea of Hangman coming to the
box
for fucking children. For fucking children.
And you know? You say that, like, it should lead to Swerve Strickland winning the title. At least, it should lead to Hangman Adam Page winning the Owen and winning the world title at All In.
Yeah.
I just cannot believe we have to endure 4 more months as Jon Moxley is world champion in order to get there.
Ridiculous, man. But, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Tap on that thumbs up. WrestleMania's coming up. I mean, the build hasn't been great for that show either. I'm glad we made the responsible decision to not go.
Yeah. Cody and Cena's got to pull through. I believe in Jay and Gunta. I believe in these matches. They just got to come through.
Keeping my fingers crossed. Keeping hope alive. But yeah, thanks again for being an audience for this catharsis here. I still can't believe that happened, man.
Let us know what you thought of Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland in the comments, and the entire show for all that matter. We love talking about pro wrestling, and like we said, we're men of our word. You know, we want to chat it up. We want to agree with you. We want to disagree with you. You know, we like talking about wrestling. We never get tired of it. So hit us up.
Never do. But commence that back talk, and talk to you guys soon.